next we have another amazing speaker. His name is Khilit, and he will talk about the cool trips of the advanced users in Power BI. So Khilit, how are you doing today?
Hey, hi Arun. Thank you very much. I'm fine. How do you do?
I'm absolutely fine. Everything is okay in Macau. Everything great there?
Yes. Yeah. It's pretty close country, so COVID-wise, it's also okay. Work-wise, it's also okay. The only thing is people are not in or out of the country, so it's kind of a country-level quarantine, you would say.
Sure. So you're still working from home there?
No, we go to office since March 2020, so it's everything is on, including the toddler school, swimming pool, everything.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, but still in Singapore, we still have some kind of restrictions. So yeah, I'm good to go. The stage is all yours. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Can you make me
presenter?
Yes.
Pio, can you make him presenter, please?
Thank you.
Yep. Hang on. I'm just looking for him.
Yeah, he's just making presenter.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, I can see the share button. So let me quickly share my screen, and you guys please confirm whether you can see my screen clearly and hear me properly.
Yes, we can hear clearly and we can see the screen as well.
Awesome. All right, guys. First of all, very warm good evening, good morning, or I just simply say greetings from Macau. And welcome to the session. In today's session, I will be talking about some cool tricks, why they are cool, and the purpose of it and how to achieve it. We will see in each and every tricks demo. And without any further ado, let me just jump into my introduction. A little bit about myself. I've been working with the Microsoft technology for more than 16 years now. I've been a data warehouse guy, but then I moved into the multiple roles. Now I create the blueprint for the projects for organization level, and I also implemented a couple of mid-scale to large-scale BI projects in the various companies, and the deployments were also quite large. I'm also a active member of the Singapore data platform for quite a long time, since 2015 to be precise. I do the occasional blogging, so you can feel free to check out my blog, bigator.com. And on my particularly in Microsoft tools and technology, my most favorite part is the Power BI. That is my passion. I've been working with this tool since its initial release in August 2015, and I've been following it through almost every release. On my spare time, I love solving cubes and hiking and swimming and cycling. Apparently, I don't have any pictures of me doing cycling or swimming because nobody took it, but you can take my words. So enough about me. Let me just jump into agenda. So I'm intentionally keeping the agenda omitted from this list to just create a sense of surprise and fun. So I want to have it like a first-hand impression when we actually touch base the topic. A little bit of disclaimer, anything what I'm going to discuss about in this session is not related to my employer, clients, their works, plans, architecture, data, etc. It's just me sharing the data with the community. Because Power BI is actually a mature product, I would say, for an enterprise, because there are thousands of implementation has been done since 2015, 2016. In fact, my previous two companies were very much interested, and some of the clients were very much interested. Some of my friends' companies are very much interested, and they did it nicely. I would say they are large corporation, and they did it very well defined it. And the support the Microsoft did it for the Power BI was amazing. Why I'm mentioning this is because the tools, the tips and tricks that we are going to use in that, I assume that you would have some kind of a basic understanding of how you use the Power BI or why do we use it. For example, I could call this Power BI as not just a reporting tool, but it's like an actual analytical platform. You can do the reporting as well as a self-service analytics and much more. In fact, the ETL, data massaging, cleansing, data lineage, and much more. So the people who are working with the Microsoft technology, particularly on the business intelligence framework, they might be understanding or noticing that Microsoft always have a some fundamental to categorize the things in certain buckets so people can use easily use it very well whenever they need it. For example, for their classical reporting requirement, there are two pillars. One is the pixel perfect reporting and another is self-service reporting. So Power BI is a tool which is actually suits for the self-service analytics, where you actually give two things to your consumers. One is the good data and this tool. And for the pixel perfect reporting, a standard SSRS is still valid. All right. So in my focus, we will be talking about the Power BI today. And before we jump into Power BI, I also would like to tell you that for Power BI, there are two versions. One is the on-premise and another is the cloud version. For the cloud version, we call it as a Power BI service. And the on-premise version, we call it as a Power BI optimized for the report server, because you can only deploy it into the report server. So we are going to use everything about the cloud. So let's jump into it. My slides and the demos, they are in such a way that you don't need to actually read it much. Everything is just about a demo and me talking and explaining and doing stuff in front of you. So these are just the key points that later when I share with you the deck as well as a demo through my website, you can actually correlate them in my demo. All right. So the first is total in matrix. What do I mean by that? Well, everybody is just using the two things when they wanted to put the data into a tabular format. Either it's a table visual or matrix visual. Matrix visual is like a pivot of the values, whether it's a dimension and fact, and however you wanted to see the cross numbers, or how they do the numbers against each other. So matrix is a visual. So sometime when we use the matrix, I feel that we have been facing some challenges. That challenges I wanted to discuss it and we wanted to sort it out. So let me just jump into my demo. So let me directly jump into my Power BI desktop. So by the way, I said Power BI desktop, which I'm using, is actually the cloud version. And how do we verify and say whether it's a cloud version? So when you have it downloaded, you will see a published icon next to the last in the ribbon. That means it's actually the cloud version. All right. My data model is actually pretty simple. I am using a couple of tables based on the kind of demos I have wanted to do. But for now, let's just understand. I'm using one simple matrix visual, and you can hover your mouse to find out it's an actual matrix visual. And I'm just plotting two different columns, which is year and quarter, and couple of measures, three measures. Now, first of all, I'm interested to find out about the total. So I can see the total here as well as I can total see here. Because the reporting comes a very, very long way, it's become very mature, but the things, how it does or how it happens in Power BI is a little bit different. That's why I'm actually stressing this point. So one is a subtotal and another is a grand total. Well, is it really the way? So let's actually dig it up. So to identify the subtotals and totals, let me just define by the color. So what I'm going to do is I click on the visual, go to property, and just search through total. All the totals applicables will be just listed, and I'm going to collapse everything just to see that everything related to totals are just three. My focus will be subtotal and grand total. So let me do one thing. Let me first give a color. Anything which is a subtotal, make it pink. Anything which is a grand total, make it, let's say, blue. So apparently we got the answer. Subtotal means this and grand total means this. All right, so far so good. So let's see if we just wanted to see the grand total. Oh, Khilit, the answer is very simple. Then we just simply go to subtotal and hide them. Oh, that's where the problem is. That is the mindset problem, how we actually see it and how Microsoft it does it. What Microsoft does is every dimension value which you see on the left hand side, the total is associated to that level. That means there is actually no grand total. Everything is just a subtotal. The subtotal which we are seeing in the pink is at the quarter level, all right? And the subtotal which we are seeing in the blue color is actually the year level, all right? So this is the difference. So again, how do we get to the grand total? All right. So for that, we need to do the trick. So we click on the visual, go to the subtotal, and in the subtotal, we go below and you will find something like this. per row level. So what you do is you just enable that, and then per row level, you can actually choose which dimension level you wanted to see the subtotal. As I told you, quarter is also a subtotal, and quarter is also having a subtotal, and year is also having a subtotal. So what I'm saying is, please do not show me at the quarter level, but just show me at the year level. So now you see, I got the answer. I hope you find it amazing and amusing that even though it looks like a grand total, but it's actually nothing like a grand total. All right. Okay. Sorry, I'm just going a little bit speed because I have to cover a lot of ground, but feel free if you have any basic to advanced level question, please feel free to post it on the comment and I will try to address at the end of the session. All right. All right. So there is a hidden gem, something called a step layout. All right. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to return back. So I will simply just go and simply say revert back to whatever the layout. So, and I click on this and I will simply say step. So in the row header, you will find some property called a step layout. But what is the benefit of it, Khilit? So, okay, so let's actually turn it off and off and on. So let me just turn it on. So what just happened is the subtotal of the quarter level actually moved besides to the actual label. This is actually the row level. They call it like a row level. Okay, this is actual row and this is the expanded row. But this is actually creating confusion that whether I should actually sum it up these two value or it's actually how do we read it? Actually, it's actually creating a confusion. But if your report requirement is like this, then please enable the layout. But personally, I prefer like clear communication, so I don't like the step layout. When I click the step layout off, it gives me a very precise detail that whatever is actually here, see that is the empty space. Whatever is here, that means it's actually the sum of the inner part or the inner table. And whatever is the outer side is actually the outer sum. So for me, if I have to design the report, then I would actually prefer the stepped layout to be off. But I mean, feel free, based on your use case, you can choose however you want to display. All right. Okay. I think the searching is actually not a big thing because the people who are using the Power BI, but let me tell you something about the matrix control. If I just remove it, you can see there are so many different properties that is matrix control visual have. But if I just wanted to talk about, let's say, just the size or alignment. So let's say I'll take an example of alignment. So let's say alignment, and you can see so much of alignment, but by just searching it, you can actually fine tune all the alignment of the entire matrix just in one go. So let me just simply do the alignment. So alignment for all the column. So let me just make it to all. See, all are just done. And I also wanted to actually align these two. So I'll go into the row header and I will simply say yes. So now I got my things ready. But you see one more thing, reset. So currently, after completing my alignment, I am still actually seeing the alignment related columns. So what if I just completed my work and then now I just go back to the main page or the main properties? Okay, so what you can do is a simple trick. You can click on the visualization pane, that to just to close it, and you just open it. Everything is just reset. All right. So I think this will be very handy. This will be very handy if you wanted to do, or I would say it's like a productivity trick. So it can make you efficient. And now by searching, what you can actually gain is exact property per visual, because you know that this visual has something called a step layout, which you may not find in the map or a line or etc. So by creating this, your mind is actually getting trained and you get more and more experience as an expert level for the Power BI. All right. Oh, one more important thing, show on rows. Okay, so I'm simply saying on rows. This is very interesting one. There is a value section and on rows. By the way, by searching this, one of the things you are actually getting efficiently is you don't need to worry how can I actually find something. For example, let's say if you're talking about or fixing the alignment of a column, sometimes is it actually in the column or column header or value or the grid? So you get confused. So rather, I would prefer simply just search that you are looking for alignment and it will tell you all the possible places where you can actually do the stuff. Okay, let's do the on row. So for on row, what it is? show on rows. This applies to the measure. So for example, I have a measure sales, profit, and profit quarter and quarter. So let's say your report requirement is to show this on the rows, then you can actually do the quick pivoting just by enabling it. So you don't actually do the pivoting in the Power Query editor, but rather you can actually do at the report level, and this you can actually check in the performance analyzer. It doesn't consume any extra time, whether you represent the data in column wise or the row wise. It doesn't take. All right, but this is just how you wanted to satisfy your use case. So I prefer not on the rows, so it can actually easily comparable and readable. So this is a very nice one. So just keep note of it. And let me just close this and open it again for the reset. And last, hide total. This is a very classical old time enemy. Sometime when we have a calculated column, it doesn't just apply to the percentage, but believe me, sometimes there are calculated column like average or mean, max or something, or semi-additive things, just like a number or something. Sometimes it doesn't actually make sense to actually add up. Then why do we actually see the 35%? It doesn't even make sense. Then my simple case is, how do we hide it? All right. So you click on the visual, and what you do is you can go into something called field formatting. All right. In a field formatting, you need to choose which field you are talking about. So currently my field is the profit on profit Q and Q, quarter and quarter. I choose that. On this field, what I want to do. So I'm saying that on this field, what I wanted to do is change the font color to the white, come on, and the background color to the white. All right. And whatever I did, please apply not to value, but not to subtotal, but only apply to the total. So I know Microsoft has actually did it a little bit tricky. And also it's like a limited functionality. Let's say if you just wanted to apply the color variation for the inner value and the outer value, or the grand total differently, actually there is no way to actually get it right now. But I think this is the quickest way you can actually fix this problem. All right. I jump into my second demo, which is a DAX. Well, DAX is the people who are actually using the Power BI for the long time. They already know why the DAX and M language and why do we need it. But just as a refresher, I would like to say it like a one-liner for them. M language is the data mashup language. When you wanted to do ETL operation, data transformation, data massaging, cleaning, sorting, filtering, etc., you use M. And for that, you need to go into the Power Query editor, which we are not going to cover in this session. But if you are more interested, just let me know on the comment box or contact me on my blog. There is email address. You can contact me. I will arrange one more session deep dive for particularly M or particularly DAX. DAX is not attached to the table or the column, even though it can actually do the certain calculation at the per row level, per column level, but it's actually out of the space. It doesn't tie to a table or a column or the row. It is sitting out of it. All right. So the people who are using it, they are already aware it, but this is just a simple demo. So what is the DAX which I'm talking about? Let me just jump into it. So I'm going into my DAX demo. All right. So here what I'm doing is I have taken one simple table. When you click on the table, you can see that which table I'm actually using the columns from. So financial. And I've created a separate table just to keep my all the measures. These are calculated. As I told you, these are not attached to any table, even though they uses the columns and the table as a references for the calculation. So let's say, what is the demo? So the demo is I am showing the year and month and some kind of units sold, the number of units sold, and one calculated measure which I created only for the VTT product. So let's understand what is the VTT. So I just click on the table, go to data and understand the financial table. So in this table, I can see in the product, there are so many different products available. And for each product, each country, for each time or each date, etc., there is a unit sold, gross sales, profit, and etc. So let's say I wanted to find out the unit sold only for the Velo product, then how can I do it? So this is where you need to understand why the DAX comes into picture, because I can tell you that I cannot do the row by row. I have to do it outside of the table. by referring to this column. So how can I do it? So first of all, you go to your canvas. I call this as a canvas, or you can say is a report pen, and you find out the column just for your reference. So let's say this is my unit sold total, and make sure that you are referring to the right table. Okay, so unit sold, my unit sold total is where? Okay, it's just outside. Doesn't matter where you click, it doesn't matter. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on outside and click on a measure, and I'll start writing into a brand new measure and simply saying that unit sold, and I'm saying it's a Valo product, which I don't have it right now. So I'm gonna start typing. It's slow, I already type it. So calculate is a function which is called queen of a DAX. It can do so much more things. Let me just, so I'm saying that please calculate the total unit sold total. That means do the total for this and filter it out for the table financial. And for this table, what kind of a filter condition? So I'm saying that where the product is equal to actually Valo, and I'm just emptying and putting it proper syntax, so you can actually see it nicely. So this one, I'm saying that do the sum only for the Valo product. So I click OK and go there. I go there. So from this table, I'm just simply going to remove my VTT, which I created before for testing purpose. So now in this table, what I'm going to do is I click on the visual and I simply drag my Valo product. So what I see is some kind of product sum for only the number of units sold for the Valo. But what is the special thing about is you can write the same DAX function in a different manner, which I wanted to show you. So what I'm going to do is I'll again right click and go to new measure and start typing. So here I'll say that unit sold Valo and new, because this is my new measure. Of course, you cannot use the same name again. And I'll say that rather than calculate, I'm going to simply say that please do the unit sold total, make a space and just open the parenthesis. It will suddenly ask for the filter condition. And I will say that, you know, boss, I wanted to actually put a product filter on Valo and done. This is too much. That means I can actually go and write how I talk in English. You know, Microsoft has this this fundamental. When they design the product, they make the things very English-like. If you wanted to copy the table, believe me, there is a right click and copy button. Just like that, I wanted to sum it up this measure for only the product Valo, and it just does it. So let's test it out. So I click on OK. I don't know, somehow it's just slow. And click this. I click on the second table and use my Valo new and I paste it. Oh, that means there is some kind of a mistake. I don't know why. Let me just check it out. Do not support the number to text. Maybe some mistake. Just let me check it out. Financial profit, unit sold. Let me write down. Unit sold Valo new is equal to, I'll say, unit sold total and space, then filter is equal to product for financial, and that is Valo, and close and click enter. So I don't know what happened there, but I just literally typed the same syntax. All right, so ultimately I can actually set the same number. There is only the formatting issue, but my point is the same way you can actually write down the DAX in a different manner. All right, I quickly jump into another demo because I have so many items to cover. By the way, the query which you write down in this language, right, the shortcut, you can actually put it in a variable and also use the same variable. That also works just fine. I think I did it for the VTT, so let me just show you. I just excluded the filter as a variable and I use the filter as here. So ultimately this syntax is still working fine. All right. So now how many syntax are working or not working? You can try to find out yourself. There is not a clear documentation available on MSDN. All right. So the next is swap visual. Well, this is more like an experience for the people. So for example, let's say I am trying to create, I jump into my demo. So let's say I'm trying to create some kind of a report for my user where he is actually, why I'm seeing, okay, he is seeing some kind of a filter and doing some analysis and seeing the line chart. So let's say Singapore versus Canada, and he's just Singapore versus Canada, and he's just doing it. But you know, he is a consumer. Now he doesn't have an ability to modify this visual, but you as a creator, you can actually provide a multiple functionality. So by creating some kind of variation on the same chart. So for example, what I did is I created this chart, and with that I provided him to show this as a decomposition tree. So I just press Control and click, and it just turned into the composition. And you can go into Singapore and it will still work, and they can actually do their own thing. So you click it, you go here, you don't want to see the country, but you want to see the product first. So you click and go to product, and this product, I want to now see the country. So my point is, now you are giving your user a flexibility to analyze your data in a different way. But point is, how do we get there? It's actually very simple. So what you do is, first of all, you need to create, go to view, click on the bookmark and click on the section. I'm going to minimize these two for now, just for a second. And in the selection pane, as you can see, there are some hidden. So first I'm going to enable it, and then you can see everything is enabled. And now you see what I did is actually I created two different charts. I created two different buttons, but I put it on the top of each other, and I created a bookmark. How much is the visibility? For example, if I click on the view line chart, ultimately at that time, these two buttons, so one button is what's behind and what is a decomposition chart, will be disabled. But when, and at that time, the show decomposition tree button will be enabled for you to click. So it's like a flag. For line, show the decomposition, and for decomposition, show me the button for the line chart. The alignment is just like this because I just drag this control for you to show that there are actually two controls and one visual is not transferring into another visual. All right. So how to achieve is actually pretty simple. So let me just first do one thing. I'm gonna enable this for now, and I'm gonna delete this both the bookmark. So currently this is my set. So ultimately I'm also going to make some space by deleting this. I'm just going to keep it side by side here, no problem. That's it. So for line chart, what I wanted to see is this line chart, when it is enabled, I wanted to see the decomposition tree. That means at that time, I don't want to see these two buttons. So you click on this, and then you click on this and click on hide. And you click on the line chart and you click on the hide button. You can, of course, give the good name to button, but just for the sake of demo, I'm just showing it. So this view, what you're gonna call, you just create a label, you double click and say that this is my line chart. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna undo this. And at this time, I'm gonna click on this one and hide it. And line chart, I'm gonna click on the decomposition and hide it and create, create a new bookmark. I double click it and simply say the decom. That's it. So now what I just did is whenever I click on line chart, it will show me these two items, and when I click on this, it show me. But the problem is when I click on this button, it doesn't do anything because I have not assigned any activity to that. So for that, you click on the button, you go to the format button, and there is something called action. On action, you click on the bookmark and say that show line chart, what should happen? So simply the line chart should be coming up. And when you click on the decom button, for that one, I wanted to call it as a line chart. So now look at the experience. So I can see the line chart and decom. I click on it. Wait, it's slow. I just clicked it. Come on. Did I do it correctly? Let me just check. So for decomp line chart, supposed to be decomp, and this is a decomp. And when I click on the line chart, it is show me the line chart. So this is how you can achieve. Now, one of the point I wanted to highlight is the behavior in the report and a dashboard. Now, consider these two are actually visual. So when you are actually promoting this into the dashboard in the Power BI service, you will be able to put this side by side. It will not come as this experience. So please take care. If your user wanted to have this experience, then it will be only remain in the reports, just like this. All right. Okay. Let me go to the next one. This will be one of the advanced topic and one of the challenge which I could do it. I wanted to share with everyone. So in this challenge, let me just jump into the demo. Top end. So what I'm trying to achieve. So ultimately, I have one data set where there is a product names and the item sold. Just a hypothetical case which I created. And what my use case is, I wanted to find out which are the top n products. So whether example, let's say top 3 products, then based on 99, this will be like a first product, pen is the second, and bicycle is the third product. But my use case is rest all the products should be considered as others and should be summed up. This is very challenging because the problem is my dimension table doesn't have the word called others. So how can we achieve it? All right. So please stay tuned. This will be a little bit complicated. So for that, we need to understand and create like a mind mapping. I generally prefer the whiteboarding session to create like a diagram. So first thing first. First of all, I want a word other in my dimension. That means I need to have others. Problem is I cannot actually edit this because I consume it from a source. It could be a database, it could be Excel or a direct connection, live connection or whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one pseudo table. So for that, I'm going to go. First of all, let me just close this bookmark and this. By the way, just wanted to highlight, I don't know why Microsoft did not put a cancel button for the filter. Literally, I don't want it right now. All right. So in the field, I just created one table called a pseudo product table. Before that, I'm going to show you what is my product table. So I click on the table. I go to my data. So I just have this simple table. So from this table, I created something called a pseudo product table. How? So what I did is I just take a distinct value of the product name. Then I appended only one value, which is called others. And the result is this, what you can see, it has now others. But the problem is, Khilit, now this table and this table are actually different. Then how do we actually, communicate? So for that, you need to go to the model, and you need to create a relationship between the product and this product by just dragging it. And I created this relationship on the both ways because I want this product to be filtered on both the ways. But if you want, actually you can remove it. Actually, there is no need to filter it because ultimately we are going to work only with the pseudo product table because it has the word other in it. All right. So I go into my canvas. Now the challenge is I got the values and others. Now, how do I find out which are the top products? So for that, we need to actually create a measure. So what I did is I click on it. So the measure which I'm using is a top n units sold. So this is the one, top n units sold. It's little bit bigger, but believe me, it's that simple. So the first thing is I created a simple filter in a variable. That means anybody, any calculation, whether it's a calculate, sum, mean, max, any function who are going to use this filter will be applied. So what is this filter? So in this filter, what I'm saying is get me the top value. Ideally here, I just simply should say, just top three value from all the selected of this table. And what to actually do the top 10 is actually on that measure, which is a top unit, total simple unit sold. This measure, do the top. But currently, if I do the top 3, then it's actually not a dynamic enough. So what I did is actually I created one more table. That table is called a slicer table. And how does it look like? It looks like this. It's just a value of 1, 2, 4, 5. So I'm giving a flexibility to the user. When they click on it, they would be able to find out which are the top 2 product. That's my goal by just clicking. So in my measure, I'm actually passing the selected value of the slicer of this column. So this is nothing but my filter. And after that, I'm just simply saying that, just find the total sum of that filter, which is nothing but the top filter. You see, I'm using this filter in here. And by the way, if you are not able to follow along this demo because it's a little bit time taking on that, I will be sharing this entire demo, entire PBX file using my blog as well as in the Teams. So you can actually follow along what I'm saying. And I also created something called what is actually not in the top. I call it as a other, because you see, my problem is I wanted to find out the top value and their sum, but I also wanted to sum it up of all other value which are actually not in the top. So that's why I created a common filter, and I'm simply saying that, sum it up the entire table and just minus the result of the filter table. And ultimately, I'm just displaying this value in a written where the word is not others, you will show the filtered total, and whenever it's other, you show the other total, which is actually this. So I'm sure it's actually not that complicated, but when you do it for the first time, this experience is actually like that. So ultimately, what I achieved is I am no longer required this table. I just require this two table. And what I achieve is one slicer. And whenever I click on the slicer, I will be able to see the value. So I wanted to see the top one value, which is a chair 99, and rest everything should be summed up as other. I just created a simple chart from this. Ultimately, nothing but I just did a copy paste of the same and converted into a chart. That's all I did. Okay, and I just did a simple formatting. All right. And one last point on this is I wanted to actually change a color of this as a other. So for that, believe me, it's actually not that easily available. So for that also, you need to actually create a separate measure. But this measure is actually very simple. It's just this, you see. I am just switching between the selected value based on the product. And if it is matching with the word other, then show me something this, and otherwise show me something this. So this is nothing but my orange color, and this is nothing but my something like a navy blue color. So this is how you can achieve your top 4, and you can actually expand your series however your use case is. So I hope this is actually useful for you. All right, jumping into my 5th demo, how to make it nicer. Well, I just completed this one, but it's not that appealing. So to get that appeal factor, what should I do? So for that, first of all, again, let me show you the notes. I generally prefer these two methods. Either you take a pen and paper and create a dashboard that my report should be looking like this. I wanted to see all the slicer on the top, all the filters on the left. In the middle, I want a table, which is a tabular. And on the side, I want something like a visual, like pie chart or bar chart or line chart, which I don't need to read it very carefully. But the table are the numeric values where I wanted to focus it. So do your paperwork, do your whiteboarding, and then start to create or make it nicer. How to make it nicer? Let's do it. So first of all, I'm gonna make a copy of it, and just to show you, I'll just simply say 001. Later, I will delete it. So first, arrange your things in proper way, how you want it. So first of all, what I want is I wanted to make this a little bit bigger, like this much, and I also want to make it same height and also at the same, same height, and put this into some kind of a center. This is good enough. And for this, I wanted to put on the top center like this. Okay, fine, no problem. But because they are touching together, they are not that much appealing. So I'm going to make a little bit of a space. This is good enough. Now, how do you know whether things are laid out properly or not? So what you do is you click on the white space area and then use Control A. That way you can actually see it visually, how your visuals are actually, contained in the canvas. Okay, so now I see visually that, okay, I'm okay with this. Now let's make it nicer. So what you do is you can do multiple ways, but the simplest way I can show you is you can go to the canvas, click on it, go to the property of canvas, go to page background, and just change color, which is a decent. Okay, so I'm gonna choose color, let's say maybe like blue. All right, and I change the opacity to 0. That means I don't want any transparency. Let me make it a little bit darker. All right, this is good enough. All right, and still not appealing. So what you do is you click on a control, okay, and there is a trick. You go to the something called a shadow and just enable the shadow. For this one, same thing. You go enable the shadow. Same thing for that. Enable the shadow. Looks okay, but still appealing. Okay, fine. Then click on the control, go to the property, and you open something called, let me see the property, something called border. Open the border, and below the border, you just make the radius to 30. Now you make the radius to 30 for only those items which are actually not cutting the corners. For example, I cannot actually do the 30 here because otherwise it will, cut the title. So be cognizant about it. So I'm gonna apply the same thing, enable the corner, make it to 30, and you click on it and enable the corners, border, click on it, hide the headers, I don't want, and make it only to 20 because I'm not going to cut too much of it. I think this is decent. This is okay, and the full functionality is working fine. You can make it even more fancier. There are methods which actually I have a blog post on it. You can actually create on a PowerPoint like a particular layout and then use that as a background image and then adjust your visuals on the PowerPoint actual area. Maybe I will share you the link of that blog so you can actually follow through. But this is how you can make it simpler. I'm gonna delete this because I don't need it because I've already created it here. So as you can see, it's there, see? And it's just working fine. And you can make it a little bit fancier by just going into control, visualization, and let's say unit sold, you right click it and you go to, let's say I remove it. I simply say, come on. I simply say right click on a measure, go and say data bars or icon. So let's put icon and say, okay. So based according to the total, it adjusts the value automatically. But if you're not happy with that, then you can actually do your own calculations. So this is how you can make the things fancier. All right. Jumping into 6, buzzword. What I'm going to do is I'm going to touch base this charticulator at the last because I have to cover up to 4 more demos and this is going to take time. So let me just jump into the 7 pretty buttons, which are the simple and the shorter. So for that one, I'm simply jumping into demo. So let's say people are familiar with the bookmarks. And just now, while swap visual, we have seen that this is nothing but a button or a bookmark. You can actually, let me just go there. You can actually use a bookmark to do the storytelling. So let's say I wanted to show the home. So when I click on home, I wanted to see this selection, that selection, this visual to be enabled, that visual to be disabled, something like that. So while doing the demo, you actually don't have to do it that, okay, let me jump into Canada and Singapore. Okay, let me, remove the filter, click on India, click on Singapore, and then start talking. But if you want to save time, what you can do is actually, you can save this state. You can go to view, you can go to bookmark and you can create and you simply say that, this is my India, Singapore view. That's it. Okay, and what I can do is whenever I can click on this one, let me just change the name of the button so it looks nicer. I'll say India, Singapore. So whenever I click on this, I wanted to actually go back to this selection. So currently, let me just remove the selection. I click on that. I go to my action and the bookmark, and I wanted to go and see the India view and exit. So now what I do is, right now I just selected Japan and Canada. Now suddenly I wanted to start telling the story of India. What I do is a control and click. Suddenly it is just selected and I don't waste time. But how to make it even fancier? Rather than this, I wanted to show it like this. You see, the experience is pretty nice. You can put a picture, you can put images or object or a name or whatever. How did I do it? So it's actually the same thing. So when you click on it, you will realize that rather than a bookmark, I'm actually using this button. And in the button, I'm using the blank button. For the blank button, first thing, you click on the button and you go and find out something called fill. In the fill, you will find what is the default state. All right. So let's say I'm going to create another one. So I'll simply go and blank button, and this button, I'm simply saying that this button, go to fill, enable it and say the default state. That means whatever you see right now, at that time, I wanted to actually see an image of this, like this icon. All right. And say that, please fit and make it nice, whatever you like. But when people hover the mouse, you can actually change the behavior. So what I'm going to do is I'm clicking, say, on hover, and on hover, I'm going to remove the image and add another image. That time I wanted to choose this image and click OK, and same fit. So when I hover the image, it changes. So I'm actually getting into a different experience. And this button, I'm going to say that, this button should do the same thing. Go to the action, go to the bookmark, go to the India and Singapore view. So when I'm actually not let's say I'm selecting Canada and I wanted to do the India and Singapore selection, I simply hover my mouse. Sorry, it's slow. I did hover my mouse. And you click and control. The experience is just nice. All right. All right. Plotting mean and max. This is also very, very important. For example, sometime, let me just jump into demo. Sometime what you have is actually, like this. For example, simple line chart. But the problem is your boss or the user just wanted to show whatever is the last value and the legend of the last value. But the problem is whenever you go to the data label and enable this, it just enable for all the points, but that is not exactly I want. So what you need to do is you need to again focus on the solution, not on the visual. So focus on the solution. I mean to say is concentrate on the data set. So currently my data set, it looks like this. It has some time and the value for everyone. That's why it is plotting for everyone. That means I need to cut down. I first have to find out the last value because that is my use case. So the last value, I have to actually do the measure. Whatever is the last value, only show me the gross sales of it. So last gross sales. So what I did is I actually created a measure called last gross sales, and it looks like that. It's pretty simple. I just take one variable where I did a filter for only the last date physically. You can actually do this dynamically also, but just for the sake of demo, I'm just putting it as a 1st of December, and I'm just returning whatever is the total value for this date. And that's why, and that's how I am seeing only the value here because the other words are not matching with the 1st of December. All right, I achieved it. Then how can I actually plot it out? So what you do is you go to the line chart, then you can use this last gross cells. So let me just remove all other just to show you. So I got it. All right, but problem is I don't want to miss the line. I just wanted to see the label for it. So what you do is you actually get it back. Of course, you can do the undo, the faster way. And what you do is you click on a control, you go to this, and in the label, data label, you expand and you will find a nice trick. Probably you might have not tried it out, but something called customized series. In a customized series, you will find out what you want to customize. By default is, by the way, off. So please make sure that you turn it on. Then you can click on what you want to customize. I said that, what, gross sales, which is actually a default value, don't show me. I don't want to see. Okay, what about the others value? That means anything which is actually not the last one. I don't want to see that either. And what about the last gross sales? Yeah, keep it on. And the color should be this. So you see, I just created a very nice multicolored line chart with only the customized data label by using a DEX query. So these will be pretty impressive because these are not generally available by the out-of-box functionality of the line chart or the stack line chart. All right. So I hope that you will be able to use this kind of functionality. And this is also possible if you wanted to particularly show any main, max, or show me only on the Chinese New Year or Christmas Day or something. You can actually create some kind of intelligence in your data set, and according to that, you can create your DAX and visualize using the customized series. All right. 9. This is also very interesting, using the maps. Let me explain you. So this is tricky, but simple also. Why it is tricky? So first of all, let me show you my data set so you will understand. So if I go, my data set is just a random country, and I go into my table of random country. What do I see is like this. Ultimately, what I did is I created 8 columns and I have taken like 8 values. First value is like an address, another is a place, a city, a county. It's not a country, it's a county. It's a country, France, there is a one state, there is a one postal code, and there is a continent. Why did I do that? Because I wanted to do a regression, because the people who are using the Power BI, they should know that Power BI doesn't have any offline maps. They do have something called a shape file, which is this, and you can download the offline map, but you know it's not updated or you need to maintain it on a periodic basis and etc. That's why we are using this map, which is this. So when you click on it, you will see which icon I'm talking about with this map. And this is nothing but a Power BI Bing Map API. This Bing Map API means how it will represent it. We wanted to test it out. So what I did is I just created one big slicer, and what I wanted to see it whenever I click on let's say Dubai, which is actually the name of a city, then how Power BI is actually able to plot it. So when the city is Dubai, can city be plotted? Yes, city be plotted. But in the continent, if it is a continent way, that is also available or displayable. State level is displayable. Let me explain you why I'm talking about city versus state, because they have a by default, that is a feature. Let's say this city column. If I wanted to treat this as a city, then you click on it, you go to the data category and call this as a city. But the problem is in my city column, as you know, in my city column, I have a place, I have an address, I have postal code. That means if I call this as a city, that means the only good thing it will work is for Dubai. So you see, that's why I wanted to do the cross connection to find out which is actually the better control and better way. So people should not just simply, you know, oh, this is actually the place, so let me just click on it and just call it as a city and everything is fine. No, for that, how many items will not work? This is my R&D. So for city, if you are contacting as a city, and if that column has an address value, believe me, it will not be plotted out. Country will not be plotted out. Postal code will not be plotted out. So this is a fantastic study which I did. And this is for your use case. If you wanted to plan any enterprise grade mapping solution, this R&D will help you for definitely. One last point on the fun fact, Bing Map API is connecting every time when you actually place a column on the map visual. That means make sure if your solution does not go out of your company boundary, that means you're looking for a completely on-premise solution, then Bing Map is not actually for you. You need to go for the shape map. All right. Okay. And last but not least is my emoji. This is like just a 2-second demo. So far, people are habituated using like a, character legends or character value. See, I see character here, I see character English, like and etc. How can I actually make it more fancier? So for all the windows, there is emoji layout available out of the box. I don't know from which operating system it has enabled, but for now, after 2000 and no, not XP. 2017, I clearly remember. After that, it is just available. So the trick is window key and the dot. So for example, let's say if I just wanted to show you here, let's say I put a fish icon here and make a space. I put a Windows key and dot. You will see something like this, and you can just choose your favorite icon. So let me see, why not unicorn? I click on unicorn and done. The same thing you can do on the reporting levels. Let me just jump on it. You can go to the last, which is a bonus trip. So what I did is I just wanted to create a legend by calling that India is a peacock or Singapore is this or something like that. Then how can I do it? First of all, these are the data representation. That means this data has to be available. It cannot be just a measure. So what I did is you go to my financial table and see the data. I click on a financial table. For each country, I have added an extra column for an emoji manually, not a calculator. Okay. But calculation wise, you can use them in an expression, but I already tried out. They are not working nice in the DAX expression or a switch case or etc. They are just good for the plotting. So if I have this value in the data set like this, then it will be plotted in your chart just like that, how you see right now on the data set, just like that. I'm just gonna take 2 more minutes for the charticulator, but this will be a little bit bigger, so I'm gonna short it out. So Microsoft research team has recently released something called a charticulator. Charticulator is the calculator for the chart. Currently, it's not a completely mature product because Microsoft might be doing so much of advancement or the enhancement towards that. For example, there is no particular mapping or a data label or custom parameters or etc. available. But whatever they are doing, I think it's a great deal. Previously, when we wanted to create custom charts, for example, human body or company layout or the submarine or the plane or etc., we actually have to go into a different languages like D3, then JavaScript and this and that and etc. and combine and test it out, create and compile a package and deploy it and export as a PBIVIS file and then test it. A long way. Microsoft just made a simple IDE, which is a charticulator. And for that, what you need to do is simply just click on that. And I recommend that you start with the getting started because it's not a new concept. It's like for a few months. So there are so many video and documentations available. So I would suggest that rather than reading a long page, you just simply watch somebody's YouTube channel and a couple of videos. It will get you started in no time. So in the charticulator, you simply launch it and you have to start with the data. But if you don't want to take your data, then you can actually use the data which they give the by default. So this is the sample data they are giving it. And that's how you see the name of a column. 3 main components. They call it glyph, layers, and attribute. Attributes are like a property. Layers are like each and every object which is configurable. And glyph is nothing but how you wanted your objects to be aligned or how to be plotted. All right. And this demo is nothing but just a view or the preview that whatever you do, how does it look like? So for example, very quickly, if I just wanted to create one rectangle, so I just drag and drop just like that, it will align very nicely. And when you click on this preview, based on whatever you selected, let me just minimize it. Based on whatever you selected, this property will automatically change. So for example, I just click here. So it says it's a segment. So if I click on one item, that means it's a shape. So it's like interactive. So Microsoft did a very good effort in that. All right. So let's say I don't want this way. I want actually the horizontal way. So what you do is you just simply click on the plot and you can either use this one or use this one or use this one. Everything is actually pretty same. So many ways you can achieve. See, previously it was X, but you can click it here also. All right. But there is so many curious features. For example, vertical and horizontal we have already seen, but there is something called a grid. You see, the data is in grid. Oh, data is in like this, in a cloud, like a tech cloud or overlay. Okay. And more interestingly, in spiral. You see, so things are actually, getting nicer and nicer. And what you can achieve is, I just created a couple of chart for a demo, but I could not actually show it. Is something like this. I just use three things. I'll show you. I use one shape, 2 text, and 1 symbol, which is nothing but just this dot. And I use this dynamic, nice looking chart, which actually portraits charticulator, which is like this. Charticulator. I was trying to create this one. You click on a gallery because I find it very amusing. Is this one. See, these are the charts which are not available by default out of the box, and the tools like other, which I don't want to compare it right now or name it. For example, Tableau, ClickSense, or whatever the tool you name it. Of course, they are possible, but the challenges of achieving them for the end user like me, it's very difficult because now I have a charticulator. I simply go play around and get my chart created. All right. So I will be sharing the code of this charticulator, which I've already loaded and saved it into my local file at the end of my session and also via my blog channel. But please feel free to comment if you have any question. Aro, do we have any question? Because I think I'm done with my session.
Hi, we have some questions here.
Yes, please go ahead. Let me see. Let me stop sharing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not so many.
There are a couple of
Let me start with the Ronald. Does it support the conditional highlighting? Let's say red font for the sales that were less quota. Yes, it does support. So there are two ways to achieve it. One way is in a conditional formatting. Based on the sales value, you can actually provide. You have to actually create a two different measure. One for red font for the less than, okay, one for the less quota and one for the regular quota. And when you are actually doing the conditional formatting, you need to select the field sales and apply the measure for the anyone which is like a less quota, and anything which is not less quota will be by default. And for both the values, you will see the two different line in a conditional formatting. You choose a color and apply. So yes, it is possible. For Jay, if you select something on one chart, when you switch to the other chart, will the selection filter to be hidden one? This is a very good question, and you have to be very careful. Let me actually show you on my screen. Just a second. This is a very good question. That's why particularly I wanted to show you. Whenever you are actually doing hiding and unhiding, be very, very careful. So for example, I'm currently opening my bookmark and rest everything, I just close it down. On the swap visual, I have used the selection and bookmark. So you see that currently on a line chart, I have kept this button and this composition tree hidden. So whenever I make a copy of this, right, things will be as it is. So back to your question, it will stay as it is. So the filter, even if I copy paste, it will remain as it is because it's a snapshot. All right. So that means you have to manually go and clear out all the filters or the slicers. All right. Wait a second. I'm just checking another question from PO. There is a lot of stray peacocks in this. All right. So Aro, any more questions from anyone?
Yeah, I think we're done. And you actually beautifully explained all the questions.
I hope that, you know, I actually did not, I literally rushed it because literally I did not get too much time on it, and it's actually not a PO's fault or anyone's fault, but Power BI itself is actually a very huge product, and I'm so excited to share more and more features, but I'm running short of time. But let me see if people are commenting on the meetup or MS Teams or by email. We will definitely get into some kind of a deep dive session for few sections.
You can share your link, your blog link, so that we can see.
Sure, definitely. One second. So it's this. Anyway, I will be sharing my whole PPT and a deck in the same website. So demo, PBI, Charticulator, everything, including the code and the data, will be for your disposal. So if you wanted to get started with the same example which we discussed and I showed up, you will not waste time.
Okay, and we have very interesting sessions. I just want to share something.
Yes, please.
Yeah, hope you can see my screen. Please rate his session, Khilit session. It's a really, really interesting session.
Thank you, Aro.
Yeah, and you can just rate him on the links, or else you can do on the QR code. Both options are available for you. So please rate, and it's amazing session. I mean, like one of the coolest. I mean, it already put cool tricks, but really cool features, which I think about the calculator was really something very amazing. I not use it. I will use it in my customers' place as well as really, really good, cool tool.
Yeah, it has actually just came out like 2 or 3 months ago, and people did a couple of videos. I actually put references, lot of them in the same deck I will be sharing. So you just click and explore that.
But was it not a part of it was available at the marketplace, right? The Charticulator?
Charticulator is not a visual, so that's why it is actually not available there. From Charticulator, the output is a visual. So what you can do is actually you can create it and actually expose yourself into the marketplace and let Microsoft recognize it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was really good. I mean, yeah, I think Aziz, Jay, and everyone is actually thank you so much for an amazing presentation, the style and all.
it's
Thank you
my
so much. Yeah.
it's my